Ohio State 2026 season preview video. Let's get into it, friends. We're talking offense, defense, schedule, Ryan Day, all the good things. Apologize for the voice in advance, or I am going to apologize for it in advance. A little bit under the weather. Not sure if it's allergies or what. A lot going on, but bear with me here. We're going to soldier through this thing. I was excited to do this video. It is currently Memorial Day, so happy Memorial Day to those of you that celebrate. And enough talking. Let's get right into it, okay? Ryan Day, friends, year 8. 82-12 as a head coach at Ohio State since 2019. Here's the thing, that sounds like video game numbers, but we understand the fact that there's only been one national championship, the most important thing, and that's what's eluded Ryan Day how many times. Now, that one national championship was obviously big. I thought last year there was a good chance. Now, I understand Julian Sayin was really growing into that system and really just growing into himself. I think the Ohio State offense is going to be the key this year. All right, 17 new transfers coming in, number 4 recruiting class. No surprise. Ohio State always recruits extremely well. I do firmly believe this will likely be the number 1 team in the country coming into the season. I think once that AP poll comes out, it's more than likely that Ohio State will probably be the number 1 team. Now, let's start with what I think will be the strongest part of this football team, at least on paper going into the season, and that's the offense. Okay, Arthur Smith comes over as the offensive coordinator. Now, a lot of people are going to remember Arthur Smith for these last couple years, the Steelers' tenure, the Falcons' tenure. But one thing you need to know about Arthur Smith is when he was with Tennessee and the Titans, with Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill and some of those guys, he had a very run-heavy play-action style offense that worked. But what was it predicated on? It was predicated on a strong, effective run game. All right, it starts with the offensive line. 4 of 5 turners were starting. That's going to be, 4 of 5 returning starters on that offensive line for Ohio State this year. That is going to be massive. I think either Padilla or Van Sickle will probably win that right guard position, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see how that fills in. There's obviously a battle there, but getting 4 of your 5 offensive linemen back on a unit that was pretty strong last year is huge. Now, again, to my point, if Arthur Smith and that offense are going to have success, it's going to start with the run game. Very run-heavy play-action style offense. A lot of 12 and 13 personnel. He loves to use his tight ends. But the big thing is going to be Bo Jackson and some of those running backs. Jacoby, Anthony, some of those guys are going to have to produce. It starts on the line of scrimmage. But I'm huge on Bo Jackson. I think he could have an absolute killer year, especially in this Arthur Smith system. But what does that do? If Arthur Smith can get some of these guys up, we understand that Julian Sayin's only going to grow and get better. And we understand that Jeremiah Smith is undoubtedly the best receiver in college football. So if Ohio State can force teams to load the box, if they can find success on the ground, give Jeremiah Smith single high safety look, give him man-on-man, that's a problem. Now, the other thing about Jeremiah Smith, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but he's going to be a decoy this year. And the beauty of that is Chris Henry, as well as Brandon Ennis in the slot. I mean, come on, man. Chris Henry is 6'5". I do believe he'll be the starter this year outside there. Look, it's a scary receiving core. We know Ohio State. Nothing has changed that. But I am really, really high on this Arthur Smith hire if the run game can find success. The talent is there. I think this team's going to be really, really good. Nate Roberts will likely be the starting tight end. Good run blocker. That's something you have to have. But again, 12, 13 personnel. So we might see 2 or 3 tight ends on the field in some of these schemes and looks from Arthur Smith this year. I'm excited to see how Sayin develops. I'm really high on that receiving core. I think Jeremiah Smith will get his this year 100%. But I think he's also going to be a really good decoy for guys like Chris Henry and Brandon Ennis to also torch teams. We saw what Carnell Tate did last year. All right, let's move over to the defense. This is where the biggest question mark for me comes into play. Matt Patricia, year 2. You lose 8 starters. How many? 3 to the first round? Replacing guys like Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles is not an easy task. So it's going to be an uphill battle for this defense, at least just in terms of replacing personnel. Now, do I think on paper this is a bad unit? Not by any stretch of the imagination. Still a lot of talent on this defense. You get Kenyatta Jackson back on the edge. That's huge. Proven production, fast, physical. I think he's going to be really, really good setting the edge, and we'll see him early on in Texas playing against the best of the best. You also get Matthews and McLean back in the secondary, so that's, of course, huge. Now, let's talk about some newcomers that I think are going to be really big. I have keynoted Devin Sanchez big time, okay? He will be a corner this year. He's young. He's worked his way into this rotation, so relatively young, I shall say. But I think he's going to be a big piece to that secondary. And then you also think about Earl Little Jr. coming in, likely going to play at that nickel position, transfers in. He's going to be a huge piece, too. It's all about the IQ. That's something that Caleb Downs did so well. Both Styles and Reese did extremely well. It's a smart defense. And Matt Patricia is not going to make things Simple, right? It's an NFL mind coming into the college game. A lot of 2 linebacker looks, a lot of 5-2 looks here and there. So curious to see how he mixes it up. The defensive front's going to be big too. Zion Grady, I think, will probably start on the other edge, opposite to Kenyatta Jackson, and then I think Smith and Edric Houston will be the D tackles. But I'm sure we'll see some rotation there. Look, Pierce and Allegro and the linebacker positions are going to be big too. Peyton Pierce has waited his turn. He's got his opportunity to shine this year. He's also another one of those guys that can have a high IQ. He's been in the system, so that experience should help, and playing behind guys like Reese and Styles. So that's it for the personnel, all right? The talent is obviously there. Now let's talk about the schedule, because Ohio State's schedule this year is not easy. If you watched my last video, or if you haven't yet, it was going through some of the toughest schedules this season has to offer, and Ohio State was in the top 5, in my opinion. You start against Ball State, should be a win, no problems. You go at Texas week 2. This is a massive game. Obviously, last year, this was a massive game in the shoe. Ohio State won a defensive battle. This year, I do think the offense will play better. I hope so, at least as an Ohio State fan. I'm sure a lot of you would hope so as well. Not saying I'm an Ohio State fan, just speaking from your behalf there. Neutral, non-biased here. Kent State should be a win as well. So ideally, a 3-0 start, but realistically, 3-0 is in the picture. 2-1 is also in the picture. We'll see how that goes. Illinois is a team that's getting better, but I think having them at home, also having a tune-up game with Kent State beforehand will help you a lot. Should be favored in that. At Iowa is a tricky one. Now, luckily, I think catching Iowa earlier in the season, maybe and hopefully before they find an offensive identity, is going to be big. I think that Iowa team is going to be a slow burn this year that will continue to get better. But listen, beating Iowa in Ames with Kurt Ferentz at the helm is never easy. So that's something that they're going to have to be. And actually, I believe Iowa State's in Ames. I don't mark me on that. I messed that way up. All right. Anyway, let's continue to move on. All right. Maryland at home, that should be a win. Maryland's obviously getting better, but that should be a win. Now at Indiana is also another tough road game that Ohio State has to play. Likely to be another ranked team. Then you get a bye. You go at USC. Could be another ranked matchup. Oregon at home, probably another ranked matchup. Northwestern at home, should be a win. At Nebraska, you're not really sure what you're going to get from Matt Rule and his team down in Lincoln at this point in time in the season. So a game you might want to circle, not one I would fly past. And then, of course, the game at the end of the year, you get Michigan at home. We'll see where Kyle Whittingham has the Wolverines. So again, friends, not the easiest schedule in the world, but I do think this is 100% at least a 10-win schedule. A lot of ranked teams on this thing. Now, again, before you react, I'm saying at least 10 wins. There's absolutely a ceiling of 12-0 for this Buckeyes team. There's a floor of 9-3, 8-4. I really think 8 wins would be a little bit almost unrealistic with the talent this team has. I like a lot of the pieces. I like what Ryan Day has done with this staff. I think this team's going to play with a lot of confidence. The schedule is tough. You get a bit of a tough stretch in there with a lot of ranked teams. But the beauty of it is you get cupcake, tough game, cupcake, tough game. You get a bye week squeezed in there with all those ranked streak of teams you have to play. So I think it's favorable. You have some good home games. You have some tough road games, but nothing that a team of this caliber can't overcome. So again, that's the Ohio State season preview. I'm going to give you guys my prediction. I think the Buckeyes go 11-1 in the regular season. I think Ryan Day has these guys going. It's a coin toss as to what game they'll lose. But I'm really high on what this Arthur Smith offense can do. I think that offensive line, guys like Austin Sarabold and some of them are really going to move the line of scrimmage. I think Bo Jackson's going to have a 1,000-yard season. I'm saying it now. I think that Jeremiah Smith's going to have a big year. I think Chris Henry's going to be a breakout freshman. He might even get more attention than Jeremiah Smith. And I think that defense is going to do what they do. And that's, force turnovers, make stops. With the talent they have, it's not going to be impossible for them to do it. So that's all I got, friends. Let me know what you think of in the comments down below. Give me your outlook on Ohio State, who you think is going to be the standout player, both on offense and defense. And again, appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.